Hey everyone, last time I talked about living and creating from the soul. I shared my ABCD model and some of the soul notions, how our soul guides and pulls us to our potential and better versions of ourselves, and how to consciously weave those threads into our everyday life and vision. This time I want to share how I start any creative process and what I consider to be a key component to any productive and soulful flow. I'm talking about attunement, tuning in and aligning. In Estonian we say atra seadma, which means to prepare the plow. It's that moment of arrival and presencing before we begin the work, the meeting, the painting, the conversation, or a therapy session. It's how you arrive, with what energy, intention, and what state of being. Like parachutes, have that mini parachute that pulls out the big one. So what is tuning in? It's the state, the readiness, the inner configuration we bring into something. It's the prompt we give our mind and subconscious before we act. The question, the longing, the tension that moves us to create, whether it's something intellectual like research or product design, or emotional and spiritual like in art, relationships, or personal growth. Even inspiration is a form of tuning, although a spontaneous one usually. But what I'm going to be talking about is the conscious kind. When you intentionally set your frequency, your direction, and your inner climate. Now, tuning can come from many places, from our deep subconscious drives, fears, hopes, and desires. But when we become aware of it, we can begin to shape it, like tuning an instrument. That's what it means to get yourself together. We are actually configuring our consciousness, our mind, our being, our perception. We are focusing our resources and giving the subconscious something to chew on. This can even grow into devotion, something that you return to again and again when it becomes a reality shifting creative engine. It's no longer just about productivity, it's actual alchemy. So, some examples, everyday examples of tuning in. Think about moments like the start of a workday, the beginning of a therapy session, or a difficult conversation with your partner or a friend, or even something bigger like the start of a new life phase, moving to a new country or home, starting a new job, maybe even career. So all of them, we set an intention, we open up a space, we invite something new to unfold, and how well we do this really matters for the whole process. It can be as simple as having a nourishing meal instead of a heavy or fast food, or taking a quiet moment with a cup of tea before jumping into action and execution. And we usually do this often intuitively, but sometimes when life asks for more, and usually that's when something breaks or no longer works for us, we can do it consciously. We can set our subconscious mind onto something to prepare, to till the soil. And this is not just about planning, although that's a part of it. Planning uses the mind, but tuning for me also involves other capacities like the heart, our body mind, our subconscious. There can be more aspects than just words or vision or fantasy. In that sense, it's almost like a prayer or a meditation. It's a feeling, it's a kind of frequency, it's a stillness or some kind of inner pull. It's taking the knee. It's what in Australian Aboriginal culture they call pinakari, which means ears up. That's what kangaroos do. So it's that moment of presencing. When that alignment happens, in that moment, energy starts to flow naturally. It's just like the flow state. And I think we can consciously nudge ourselves or prepare the soil for that flow state to happen. So here are some examples how I personally tune in. I use different methods for different moments. For example, for creative work and relationships, I often start with presencing, like a mindfulness practice, maybe some breathing, some stillness, some silence, just focusing on my senses and body. And this doesn't need to be a deep practice. Even 30 seconds makes a big shift. 2 minutes, very helpful. And also gratitude. This is something that I talk about a lot and that you hear also about from spiritual circles, from Buddhist teachers and monks, but it's really powerful. We don't talk about it enough, in fact. Presence and gratitude, these really help to open and set a powerful space. Movement also helps. Usually I'll go for a long walk in nature or do a light 20-minute run, enough to activate but not exhaust, because beyond that it becomes more about release than preparation, which I also use, but usually to end a creative process or to kind of come out of a process rather than starting a new one. And also one of my favorite tools, really universal also, is writing. I have a dump folder in my notes app, and you can do it. Doesn't really matter if you use a pen or a keyboard, but that's just a place where I pour out whatever's spinning in my mind. It's not meant to be pretty. It's not meant to be original. It's just mental decluttering. Almost like, arriving, you leave your baggage, behind the door. So that's where I write just my thoughts, my feelings, emotions, ideas, get all of them out on paper. And 10-20 minutes is totally enough. You don't need to go longer than that. And this really brings clarity and focus. Every few weeks, I usually review those notes, just highlighting what stands out and throwing out what already doesn't concern me anymore. Sometimes finding seeds for new creations or helping begin a new creative process. And, it's simple, it's effective, it's cheap, and it's universal. Now, tuning can also go deeper than that. Writing and movement and presencing, mindfulness, breathing, gratitude, whether it's, in expression or just tuning into yourself, listening to your heart. These are all super helpful for starting creative processes, but you can go deeper. Like I talked about, starting a new phase in life or new job, new career, these bigger life changes. For example, when I work on a vision board, that's what I showed last time, which I call vision tapestry. I start with a kind of manifesto, usually. What do I want to bring into my life? What are my deeper longings? What wants to be born, changed, or healed? What kind of change wants to happen in my life? And then usually I write freely. This is what we call a stream of consciousness. And this can go from 20 minutes to 2 or 3 hours even sometimes, when I'm really charged. And no editing, no criticizing, just letting the heart and body speak through words. I actually began this 17 years ago, trying to record my dreams. Later it became journaling, then podcasting, and eventually even my master's thesis. That project was about observing my higher self, this kind of Jungian idea that the soul shapes us and nudges us towards growth and change and our potential through our interests, through challenges. And through writing, I started to see that we all have these inner processes, these inner nudges and pulls, these processes of self-organization and transformation and catalyzing our change, these turning points in our lives, our personal alchemy. And it, doesn't have to be writing. For some it's painting, for others it's, rearranging their home, or some handicrafts, gardening, dancing, or building something. Whatever it is that helps you go into that quiet space of really hearing those whispers of the heart. All of these are ways that we offer our soul a canvas to reorganize ourselves and to become more whole. And again, that's why I love the vision board as a practice. It's a tangible way to tune ourselves, not just for a moment, but for a whole season or a life chapter or a project. It's a reminder, a mirror, and a source of inspiration. It just gently nudges our subconscious to notice new opportunities, people, places, activities, ideas that really help make our dreams real. And I recommend making a new one every couple of years and revisiting every few weeks, just seeing what has manifested, what has taken form. Maybe some aims have become clearer and you can shape it on the go. You can change it. You can, stick over it. You can write things down on it. It's not a finished product. Our vision is alive. That's why I call it vision tapestry. It's a living thing. It's our life story happening in real time. You can add new images. You can celebrate what's come true. It's a nice source of dopamine, and celebration is also something that we need to relearn in our Western culture. Really let it give you that spark of motivation and joy, and that affirmation that you are stepping towards your dreams, towards your goals. So in conclusion, how do you tune yourself? When you start a new day, a new project, or a new chapter in life, do share it in the comments. I'd really like to hear. If you'd like to go deeper, I'll be hosting a vision and life creation workshop in a few weeks. That's a full day to dream, craft, and tune into your next phase, whatever it is that you are starting. This is how every day in the mundane and creative actions, how I tune myself, how I weave gently through these small nudges, through these moments of presence and alignment, how I weave my soul into my activities, how I take direction in my life. So I hope this is helpful, and until the next time, may you stay tuned to your own rhythm and may your creativity flow effortlessly. Ciao.